If you're struggling on defense right now in Madden 26, I guarantee it's because you're using one of the wrong defensive playbooks. Luckily for you, in this video, I'm breaking down the top 3 defensive playbooks that you need to be using to lock down anyone you play against here in Madden 26. If you want to start using the defensive playbook that all the pros are using, or you want to use a super slept on defense that no one really faces that often, this is going to be the perfect video for you. So don't skip out on any of the 3 playbooks I have for you today, and let's jump right into it. That first defensive playbook I want to break down is the best pro defensive playbook. It has some crazy blitzes and coverage tricks that you're not going to miss out on. Let me show you. All right, so we're going to come here into, this is the Jaguars playbook. All right, we're going to turn auto flip defensive play off. If you want to run match coverage, you need to have all 3 zone drop depths on default. So that's an option for you here, but we're going to come into cover 4 quarters, all right? And we're going to take this linebacker right here and drag him over, right? And you want to move him about here. Just bump him into that man. You're going to feel your controller vibrate if you have vibration on, and then you're going to pass commit your defense. Now, you want to stand about right here over top of this guard, and then you're basically going to get that loop blitz. You see how he loops all the way through? Sometimes he gets picked up at the last second, but what makes this so valuable and way better than a lot of other, defenses here, especially 4-man rushes, is how deep he gets to penetrate and collapse the pocket. You see how 58 on this play, the guard, is essentially blocking no one until the very end. Now he just basically gets pushed right into Gino, which, I mean, again, this is just collapsing the pocket. That's the whole point of a 4-man rush. There's going to be times where, yes, you can blitz more people if that's what you choose to do, but it's like actually being able to collapse the pocket really quickly is valuable as well. So again, bump him into that man, hear your controller vibrate, and now what you're going to do, stand about right here over this guard, and you see how there's a flame icon over the head of the guy who's blitzing. The offense would see that, so that means this is going to work really well. So you're going to see how right there he kind of just is dumb and hesitates. I didn't pass commit right there, and so that's why pass committing is really important, so that your guys don't get confused by play action fakes. They don't get confused by the run. They don't get confused by anything. So again, move this guy over here. If you don't bump him, there's a chance he moves back over, right? And so by bumping him essentially into that man, you make it like 100% guaranteed that he doesn't end up moving back over. But again, stand right here. They're going to take the snap. You're going to move that guy outside, and then you're just going to be able to collapse the pocket really well. Again, if you decide to turn zone drops on, which I'll do right here, you're basically going to play like a cover for drop defense where you're not going to be matching onto their routes, right? So they had a corner out on those last few plays, and so you saw how, if you go back and watch the video, you were able to, match onto that and follow that route down the field. But right here, that's not going to happen because we're just going to be in zone. So again, just bump him into this man, and they're going to take the snap, boom, pass commit, and then again, you're able to see how we just easily push our way into the quarterback because we're collapsing the pocket. There will be times where that man just comes in completely untouched through that gap for a sack. Here in, a game, right? It's not really working for me every single time. But yeah, that's the worst case scenario really is. He just ends up collapsing the pocket and getting an easy sack. So really, that's only the first part of the Jaguars defense. Let me show you another blitz that's really good. And that's going to be nickel 3-3 load mug here, all right? So what we're going to do is put zone drops on 5. We're going to put our RPO pass key on, RPO pass key on conservative, and then turn auto flip off, all right? So really what we're trying to do with this is make sure that we're able to get this loop blitz. So we're gonna call the left pirate 3-man custom stunt. We're going to shift our defensive line, to the left. And this is where the turbo engage is really important. The thing that I like the most about this Jaguars defense is you're able to get pressure from only sending a bunch of 4-man rushes. I mean, you do have to, make adjustments with your user, but it's nothing crazy. It's honestly sometimes better than sending 5. So what we're gonna do, come stand directly over the left shoulder of the center so that you're able to get his attention. But you're gonna press D-pad up, right trigger, and left stick down to turbo engage, right? Boom, and then here's the thing. Sometimes you get the attention of the guard, right? Sometimes the center just decides not to block you and you run into the guard, or they let you come in clean. So right there, he kind of just pushed me away and didn't really block me. And so when that happens, you just go get the quarterback. You don't turn around. You're trying to spam A after the snap to get off the block as quickly as possible. But if he just decides he doesn't want to block you, you don't really worry about it. So boom, we're going to take the snap. You see how this time I get the attention of him. And so that's what allows for us to get that really quick pressure in the backfield. field. And then I'm back into coverage immediately to lurk over the middle of the field. I mean, they had an angle route right here, and so I was able to, you know, take that pass away over the middle of the field. So shift the defensive line to the left, pass commit our defense, and we're going to stand over again the left shoulder of the center by pressing D-pad up, right trigger, and left stick down. So we're going to take the snap, and then you see how this is what I'm talking about, where I just pushed my way into the quarterback right there. You know, he just completely let me come in clean, so that's exactly what I did. Just ran right into him. Easy sack, right? Center just decides he doesn't want to block me even though I'm standing right in front of him. So instead of turning around, I just keep going and just get him on the ground. So that would technically, I guess, be a 5-man blitz, but you do like it when he blocks you because you do want to be back into coverage to take away those quick hitting passes. So again, we're going to press D-pad up, right trigger, left stick down. Boom, we're going to take the snap, get his attention, and that's how you're able to see that A-gap pressure. The faster you spam the A button when you are on defense, the faster you're able to get off the block with this man. So it's really just boom, 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 as fast as possible, but you're able to see if you can do that. You get this custom stunt right here where your D tackle is looping inside, and he's able to go get the quarterback on the ground. So that's also why, again, this left pivot 3-man stunt is really great because you're able to get 3 guys on one side of the offensive line, create the overload, and then you're standing in the spot to get the attention of the center so that he has no choice but to block you. But that's what makes the Jaguars defense so good here in Madden 26. All right, so if you enjoyed that breakdown of the Jaguars defensive playbook that all the top players are dominating and locking down with, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks, give you guys free ebooks every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my full Jaguars defensive ebook, which those 2 blitzes are just the start of the ebook. We have way more coverages, red zone defense, other blitzes in there. Go to the link down below in the pinned comment to grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. I guarantee it'll transform your defense because it has full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're going to need to dominate on defense. What are you thinking? Grab it today, and let's jump right back into the video. Which next I'm going to break down the most slept on defense here in Madden 26 from the Raiders playbook. It has a really great blitz that not enough people are using right now that takes advantage of one of the best defensive tricks here in the game. Let me explain. All right, so we're going to come here into nickel double mug, and we're going to call mid blitz 0, all right? So this is one of the best defenses in the game. Obviously, we're not just going to showcase this version of mid blitz, right? This isn't really going to work against good players. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take this defender, Roberts. We're going to drag him over the top of the center, and we're going to drop our defensive end into a curl flat. Now, here's the thing. You don't necessarily want for Crosby, in this case, no, I mean, you need to know your personnel, all right? You don't want to put Crosby in coverage, but for the sake of showing you in this video, I would just move him to the other side so that he's not actually out there in coverage. He's actually rushing the quarterback, but we're taking advantage of the D-pad swish stick. Again, just like I showed you from the Jaguars playbook talking about load mug, we're basically just going to be creating an overload right here where we have a 3-on-2 advantage on the, or really it would be a 4-on-3 advantage on the left side of their offensive line. But the key is using the D-pad to switch, because I'm going to take this snap, and if I just using the right stick, you're able to see how I'm not switching players. And yes, we were able to get pressure, but it wasn't immediately like we wanted to. You'll also see how my user, I mean, this would be terrible defense, right? They could just easily hit anything over the middle of the field simply because my user, I'm not guarding anything. I'm just trying to flip the right stick to switch players like you normally can, but my user's in a blitz assignment. So that's something that just a general tip that you guys need to understand. But the way that we're going to overcome this, because we do want our user to be in a blitz assignment because we want him to blitz, but we're going to use the D-pad switch stick by pressing the D-pad to the right to switch onto Crosby or whoever that defensive end is after the snap. Another thing that's really important is standing about 2 yards over the left shoulder of the center so that when you actually switch, the center blocks you and not the guard. So we're going to go with it right here. I'm going to take the snap, and then we're going to D-pad switch stick, and there it is. You're able to see how we get that instant pressure. I mean, literally anyone could have gone and sacked the quarterback on that play because of how fast that blitz was. But boom, before Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, even has the ball, I'm already switched. Right? You're able to see the balls in the air. I'm already on to Crosby right here, which means you're basically getting the best of both worlds. You're able to user rush them, right, with your linebacker who's blitzing, and then you're able to get back into coverage and lurk over the middle of the field, right? So, I mean, and you're able to just see how we have this 4-3 advantage over here, and we're able to take advantage of it to go get the quarterback on the ground in a hurry. I mean, literally one of the most useful and one of the best defensive tactics here in the game. So again, press RB, right stick up to pass command your defense. That's going to make your blitzes better, but you're also able to see it even if we block our running back right here. Same mechanic, D-pad switch stick. The running back's going to step up to block, and yet he's still just going to get his way pushed into the quarterback because we still get that free rusher, and so he's just going to overpower the running back. He's way bigger, way stronger, so he just throws his body weight into him, and it's a sack. Also, I'm back into coverage with Crosby right here. I would want a pass coverage guy, a guy that's a little bit more agile, can move, and can actually lurk. But again, whoever's out there, you're just trying to find work on the sideline, over the middle of the field, whatever it is. But when you use this D-pad switch stick, you're able to create the 4-on-3 advantage, get the overload, and then you're going to therefore be getting way more and way faster sacks. So double mug, still one of the best defenses in the game. You just have to make sure you're running it in that version so that you can get the fastest pressure possible. All right, so before I jump to that final defensive playbook that you're absolutely not going to want to miss here in Madden 26, I wanted to remind you to go down below, hit that subscribe button. I'm the only one right now breaking down Madden 26 tips and tricks every single day to help you guys get better, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But let's jump to that final playbook, which is going to be the best blitzing playbook here in Madden 26 from the Vikings. It has some crazy blitzes that you've probably never seen before. Let me show you. All right, so that first blitz here is going to be linebacker cross 3 show 2 from nickel through odd. All right, so what we're going to do here with this blitz is we're going to shift our linebackers to the right just like this, and we're going to press RB and right stick up to pass commit our defense, because we don't want them to be able to call a play action play and make our loop blitz worse. Now, what I would do here is I would shade my coverage down to make sure I have hard flats in the field, and you're using this 3-rep hook defender. Also, be aware with your user that you might have to defend the seam, but I would also not move around pre-snap with this so that you don't give away who you're using, because most of the time they just think that you're going to be using a middle linebacker, but when you catch them off guard by using a safety, they can try to like high throw something, and then you would just be right there to intercept it. So what we're going to see right here is if we look at the play art, there's 2 flame icons on this play for the offense, right? They're over the top of our linebacker and our outside linebacker. Well, one of those guys is blitzing, which means when we take this snap, he's going to come in free, right? And so you're able to see how right there, I mean, he wasn't in coming free. He didn't hesitate like a moron. But that's the reality of what's going to happen with this blitz when you actually are playing against empty protection. Because empty protection, especially when you catch someone sending 5 out, you're able to get that flame icon over that guy's head, and you typically don't even have to do anything with your user defender. Like, you don't have to like get the attention of the offensive lineman or anything like that. But again, we're going to take this snap, and then you're just able to see how he's able to get, I mean, look how deep he is in the backfield before he even gets touched. And so it's almost like he came in free right there for an easy sack. So again, empty protection, we're going to have another blitz here that's going to be great against base protection. So you're going to start the game using the second blitz I'm going to show you here in a second, and then you're going to come to this, because empty protection is going to be the thing that they switch to most likely. Or, I mean, if they start empty protection, right, then you would just go to this to start the game. You'd have to just know your opponent. But this is really great against that path protection type, because they just never see this guy until he's way too deep in the backfield, and it's 5-on-5. You should never just be able to get a free rusher right through the A gap like that easily for basically no reason, right? So again, we go through it again. They're in empty protection. You still see, you're not going to see this when you're on defense, but just trust your lab work, trust your preparation, and know that, you know, there's a flame icon. So then you're just able to see how he just runs in free, and then we're able to push our way into the quarterback while still having a good user, right? You still want to switch stick around if you need to, right? So you could put, you know, that guy in a hard flat, leave the seam flat defender on the field, pass commit your defense. You don't want to walk all the way down like I did by accident right there. But again, we're going to take the snap. He's going to guard that, and then we just easily push our way into the quarterback. Or again, sometimes he just walks in the backfield completely untouched. So this, again, linebacker cross 3 show 2, shifting the linebacker to the right, and you're just going to be able to just run right in through the A gap against, you know, empty protection, and yet you're still able to lurk really well over the middle of the field. But if they go to base protection, or if they start the game in base protection, this is one of my favorite blitzes in the game because it's actually not a blitz at all. You're actually only sending 4 people, but what we're going to do, come into 3-3 single mug, call the Texas 4-man custom stunt, spread the defensive line, and this time you're using a linebacker. So they're going to be in base protection this time right here. And what we're going to see is, boom, take the snap, turn him outside, and then you're going to get those 2 guys flying in free right through the middle just like that. I mean, it really doesn't get any easier than that. But again, pass commit the defense. Boom, you're able to see how this time they're going to be in empty protection. I accidentally had them empty. So that's why I say these blitzes, or this specific one right here from single mug, it gets countered when they go to empty protection, but it dominates base. The one I just showed you before, it dominates empty protection, but it struggles against base, which is why like they're used in tandem with each other, and you just kind of have to pick up on what pass protection type your opponent's using, and then know which specific blitz or custom stunt to end up using. So again, boom, this is base protection, and then you're able to see how free that is. So it's free against base, struggles a lot more against empty, which is why, it takes some understanding here of, what pass protection type they're in. But again, you're standing over the center, you're going to turn him in one direction. You're able to see how both of these guys are looping through, and then the center has to block one of them, but that typically leaves this man, coming in free. So really from single mug, very easy, just utilizing the Texas 4-man custom stunt against base protection. Only a 4-man rush. You're still able to play really great defense on the back end, whether it's cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, but you're just more so relying on organic pressure. I mean, just like this, from a custom stunt, you're actually able to see how that time both of those guys come in clean. So this is one of the craziest custom stunt blitzes here in the game that you need to use because it's only a 4-man rush. But when they switch to empty protection to counter it, that's when you go to linebacker cross 3 show 2, making the Vikings playbook super versatile. All right, so if you found that breakdown helpful of the top 3 defensive playbooks here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks every single day to help you guys get better, give you guys free ebooks, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my full Jaguars or Vikings defensive ebooks, go to the link down below in the pinned comment to grab them today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. They both go through the full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're going to need to guide you to dominating on defense here from either one of those playbooks. I really recommend you check them out. But if you want to see a gameplay of me running that Jaguars defense against a live action opponent in a real game, check out this video right here. I'll see you over there. Peace.